My parents forbid me from speaking to my stepsister, but won't tell me why.
You can't talk to her.
In May this year, my mother, 43 female, caught the thing that shall not be named. No symptoms, so she was fine and is fine. And my stepfather, 49 male, was presenting a few symptoms, but neither she or him were bad enough to be admitted at an hospital, so doctors recommended staying at home and all that. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, because I, 15 female, have a weak immune system, both of them called some of our relatives who lived close by to see who could keep me for a few weeks, but the majority of them couldn't, and the only one who could was making me share a room with 3 of my male cousins, so we all refused. With no options, my stepfather called his daughter to ask this favor, and she accepted. Before I even packed my things, my mother pleaded with me to stay the maximum of my time there in the guest bedroom, trying my best not to get involved with their stepdaughter. I'm going to call her AITA, 18 female. To be honest, until that point, I barely knew her. I even imagined her being 20-something. The only thing I knew was that she lived relatively close to us. I was getting ready to pass the most uncomfortable weeks of my life, and I was dang wrong. Asa is only 3 years older than me, and she is one of the funniest, most charitable, and kindest people I have ever met. The whole first week, Asa went the extra mile to get to know me and make things comfortable for me. One example is that she shares the house with 2 college students to whom she rents suites in a more private part of the house. But she asked them to keep most of their time on their part of the house while I was getting used to the new living situation. And the house she lives in is like this perfect paradise. Asa lives in a big house that has a greenhouse and a garden where she plants vegetables, fruits, and flowers. She inherited it from her aunt, who raised her and taught Asa everything about it. There are also so many puppies, kittens, and little birds. What?
No.
What?
Asa, this just sounds lovely.
Asa, you got
I want to visit her.
You got a little Eden in your backyard?
I love this.
She takes care of them while they are finding a place to live. I was in awe the whole time there. She taught me how to cook a few foreign dishes, how to take proper care of plants. She introduced me to Lonely Island because I'm a new Andy Samberg fan, and she even helped me with homework. I had such a wonderful time. After my stay ended, we decided to keep in touch. We basically talk every dang day. Today, we were on Discord being loud as heck, laughing and having fun as we've been doing since May. Then my stepfather knocked on the door and asked me to go help Mom with lunch. My stepfather asked who I was talking to because he didn't recognize the voice. My mother chimed in and said she heard us talking another day and asked if I wanted to invite my new friend to dinner. I decided to stop omitting things and told them it was Asa, that we were getting along pretty well. My stepfather made an annoyed face and my mother acted like I had punched her in the gut. They started telling me that Asa was a terrible person, that she always had been since she was a child. That talking to Asa now that it's not needed anymore was an act of betrayal. Asa was manipulative and a liar. They warned me not to get involved when I went there, and they only sent me there because they didn't have another choice.
I'm going to need a reason. What did Asa do to y'all?
Because she seems great.
Because I want to go visit Asa.
And her puppies and kittens.
And garden.
When I tried to defend Asa and ask the whole story, my mother started crying. Like really crying. My stepfather said that I have no idea of the amount of pain Asa put them through. Exactly.
So tell me.
So tell her. I tried to ask again for the whole story and said I wasn't going to stop talking to Asa until they told me. They told me to go to my room. I was calling Asa to ask the whole story, but my stepfather came in, took my phone, and canceled the call before she could even answer. He yelled at me, calling me insensitive, and left. I cried a bit in my room before lunch. After a silent and awkward lunch, my mother gave me back my phone and warned me not to contact Asa, immediately contacting Asa.
Yeah.
She told me they were going to tell me everything at night after work. What should I do? Should I try to call Asa again? She sent me a text asking everything okay, right after my stepfather took my phone. She is so kind, so I have no idea what she could have done. Maybe she is manipulative, is using me for revenge, and I should listen to my parents. Maybe I ignored or am unaware of all the red flags she's been showing. All of this is making my anxiety flare up. I don't know what to do and can't wait until tonight. Can someone help me with what I should do? And there is an edit.
Okay. So now, I will say, if they're only asking you to hold off till tonight, I don't think it's wrong to text Asa that you're okay.
That's what I think. Just text her. I was going to say, you don't have to call her.
Yeah, don't need to call her. Just, hey, I'm okay. I might reach out again tonight.
Yes.
I just need to figure some stuff out real fast. Hear your parents out.
Yes.
Because if they really are so adamant that this could be a bad thing, it's not the worst thing to just wait the half a day at this point, probably, and just hear them.
Yeah. Edit. So my mom texted me saying they won't come home early, that I opened some deep scars and they wanted to unwind a little bit. Okay. I won't be having my answers today. I already texted my grandma asking her to call me the moment she wakes up. She's probably asleep as she lives in another country. I'll try to sleep too for now. Thank you all for the advice. And there is an update. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So a lot happened this weekend, like a lot. Asa is aware of this post and gave me full permission to post it. I got all the information that I wanted, and in the end, I really regret learning it.
Oh.
To be honest, I can't look my mom and stepfather in the face anymore. Before I start, I want to make two things clear. First, I wouldn't do this update if it weren't for people genuinely concerned about Asa. And second, because I know a lot of you were thinking this happened because it is something real that happens with a lot of people from all genders. Asa wasn't SA'd.
Great.
None of the sides of the story contradict each other, so I will tell everything in order of what happened. I will be calling Asa's deceased aunt Lily. So basically, my stepfather never got along with his sister. They hated each other because my stepfather is ableist and Lily has Down syndrome. His father also hated his own daughter, so my stepfather's mom bought another house on the other side of the city and lived going from one side to another. When his father passed away, his mother sold the house and asked him to live with them in Lily's house. Because he said the same thing as his father, she cut him out until Asa was born. Asa was born from a shotgun wedding. Her grandmother would take care of her together with Lily almost every day. When Asa was 6, her parents got divorced. Because neither of them connected with her, they didn't want to raise her. Where I live, the child custody battle only starts if the parents really want or need to. As the child support would be like $80 to $100, Asa's mother wasn't interested. They were going to put her into the adoption system when Lily decided to adopt her instead. Unfortunately, when Asa was 11, her grandmother passed away. Lily became depressed, barely left the bed, ate, or did anything. It got worse when my stepfather wanted to take the house and the inheritance from her and sell it. Yikes. He planned on using the money to open a diner. My mother always hated to work, so she wanted the money to be able to be a housewife, and they wanted to put me in a private school and, in the future, a private college. They tried to lawyer up, but the prices were insane, and they even lost way too much with only consultations. The last advice they heard was to wait for Lily to pass away. Yes, a lawyer actually said that, and they thought, yeah, that's solid advice. Thanks, man.
Yikes.
2 years later, when Lily did eventually pass away, Asa and Lily's ex-caregiver told them the house was never in Lily's name. What? It was always in the caregiver's name, as no one thought Lily was capable of managing money. Oh. A few weeks later, Asa gave them a paper in order to be emancipated and asked them to sign it, as in my country, you become emancipated the moment you file the papers, especially if you have both parents' signatures and it is irreversible. They both signed without even thinking. As Asa said, CPS, I don't know the right word to use here, so I'm using this one, was going to send her to live with one of them, and she wanted to keep living with the caregiver without having to spend a few months in their houses. So it turns out Asa did lie and manipulate, but for survival. Yeah, I mean, she was trying to get, to the best, like the person who was actually going to take care of her.
Right. She was like, hey, sign this so I can stay with the caregiver, or else I come live with you. And they were like, we don't want that.
We don't want you here.
Like,
everything was in Lily's name, and when she passed, it went to Asa. The ex-caregiver gave her the idea. Before this, my mother and stepfather were indifferent towards Asa. They hated Lily. Growing up, I always thought my family members who I lost contact with stopped communicating with us because they live in another country. Or I thought it was only normal. Some people in the original post pointed out that my mother and stepfather tried everyone before AITA. The everyone was like 5 relatives. According to my grandma, I have more than 30-ish relatives. I don't have enough contact to know the exact amount. Some of them cut my grandma off for still sending us money. She sends me allowance. But we are Latinos. We have a huge family. Some even live in my dang city. The difference between my life and ASA's was shocking to me. I learned my parents' side the next day I posted here. And I spent the whole day really mad, locked in my room. In the middle of the night, I did something I was yelled at for by Grandma and Asa. I just grabbed my bike and went to Asa's house. I only learned about the Lily part after talking with Asa that night. After that, I couldn't stop hugging her and crying. Basically, I just stopped crying today. I am still at Asa's house. I get sick every time I think about my mother and stepfather. I want to live with my dad, but I can't because he lives in another state. I don't want to stop seeing my friends and Asa. My grandmother said she can come back to my country, but I don't want to make her drop everything just for me. And no, living with Asa isn't an option. I'm now thinking about getting a job so I can move out the moment I turn 18. My mom, however, can't stop texting me. She knows where I am, and she said I could stay the week, but to come back. The last advice I ask is, how can I start having contact with the relatives who cut my mother off? How do I show or tell them I am not like her? And you should show us that you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I feel like just reach out to if you can get their contact of these people you haven't talked to.
I mean,
reach
through
out
the grandma,
and
maybe.
just explain that. Yeah.
Edit, my other relatives do not know Asa. They never even saw her. They just know how much of an a-hole my stepfather and mother are. I'm leaving out a lot of personal things, but the reason why Asa accepted taking me in was because she always wanted to meet one of her step-siblings. Outside the ex-caregiver, and now me, Asa doesn't have a family. So when my stepfather called, she ignored everything he said and only wanted the opportunity to meet me. She also was really scared of the possibility of me becoming an orphan. She didn't know my dad or grandma existed. And that is the end of that story, folks.
Wow.
Boy,
A+
boy.
Asa.
Yeah, Asa, you're a star.
Yeah.
And you're doing great. And don't let anyone tell you
Your
otherwise.
house sounds so cool.
It sounds awesome, and I want to live there.
Yeah. My stepkids want to move back in and are furious I stole their rooms.
Those are my rooms.
And we have a trigger warning for emotional abuse. My female 31 husband, male 45, has 2 kids from a previous relationship who are female 20 and male 23. When we married, they had already moved out of their house. We have a baby together, male 1, who now sleeps in his own room, which is stepdaughter's old room that we turned into a baby room. By the way, this comes from particular box 6052, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, now all of a sudden, they both want to move back in. Stepdaughter lost her job and can't afford her house anymore. Stepson is done with college and recently moved back to our city. I said they are both welcome back, but they have to share stepson's room. There is no other room to put baby stuff, and I'm not going to put it all in a storage or something like that. That's baby's room now. They are adults and they moved out, and I wasn't going to keep the rooms empty for them. Now they are angry and saying I'm the a-hole. And Am I the A-hole has no consensus bot. OP received mixed responses, but leaning towards not the A-hole.
I don't think that you are the a-hole. I wonder why they're getting mad at you specifically and not like their dad.
My only thing is, I think that you should always plan for someone who's been at college to move back in.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily expect a 20 and a 23-year-old of opposite gender siblings to want to share a room.
Absolutely. I agree with both of those things.
Or share one with a baby, though.
Yeah.
Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why are you having to be the bad guy? It seems like your husband's problem to solve, not the a-hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should not all be on OP.
No.
And OP says, because they keep arguing with me while he's not around. He has made it clear that either they take that one room that is given to them or they can just leave. Commenter 2, start turning a recorder on your phone when your husband is not around and the stepkids are. Make sure they do not notice. Then show husband how they treat you when he's not around. Maybe he will realize they should not move back in. Maybe they can share a cheap apartment. OP says, I don't need to. He believes me over everyone. I just don't want to be that kind of stepmom. If I told him they are bothering me, he wouldn't let them stay here at all. Commenter 3 says, does your home have a basement? Where is your husband in this equation? OP says it has an unfinished basement that needs a lot of work done and will cost us a lot. We have a baby, it's expensive. We don't have extra money to just finish the basement for them, and he agrees with me. Commenter 4, just curious, but where do they suggest the baby be? With you and your husband? Would they rather share a room with a baby? Are they suggesting the baby stay in the unfinished basement? If they do not want to share a room, they can get an apartment together. One could not move in, or one of them can clear a spot in the basement for themselves. Baby needs a room. They may be tiny, but they come with lots of stuff. Not the a-hole. I hope they bugger off and give you some peace. OP says they think the baby should be with me and my husband. And a downvoted commenter, you're the a-hole, but because of how you said it, not because of the situation. You could have handled that more sensitively, or let that discussion happen between their father and them instead of coming from you. Yes, it makes sense that one of the rooms is for the baby. They're probably just mad about the situation. You should talk to your husband about your response and ways to cool things off before continuing to discuss with your stepchildren.
Why was that downvoted?
Yeah, I think that's
I kind of agree with that. Maybe because they said you're the a-hole.
Maybe.
They started off and I was like, ah!
Honestly, in my personal opinion, if there was no space for the baby's crib to be out and for like an air mattress to just go in there or something, brother gets his room back because he was the last one out because sister just had a house.
Yeah.
Baby has that room, or sister's crashing in there for a little bit, or sister gets the basement.
Yeah, I agree.
OP says, I don't discuss with them. They keep discussing with me when my husband isn't around. Why don't the stepchildren stay with their mother? OP says, she has a much smaller house than us. They are uncomfortable there.
Well, then why doesn't one stay with you and then one with mom?
Sister go to mom, brother go back to his house. OP's stepchildren can move in and refinish the basement themselves. OP says they don't have the money either. Also, it needs to be temporary. I don't want 30-year-old adults living in my basement.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we have an update the next day.
Ooh-wee.
I decided to just tell my husband everything they've been saying. I didn't want to say something originally because I didn't want to cause problems between them, but they are old enough to know exactly what they are doing, so they should also be prepared for the consequences. Again, though, 20 and 23. You can still be pretty young and immature at 20 and 23.
I agree. I mean, especially 20.
Especially 20.
Look at me.
So young and immature.
At 29. I'm going through a lot lately. I'm still struggling with PPD that just doesn't seem to go away. I told my husband that I will never ask him to choose me and his kids, but I have to choose between me and his kids, and I choose me. My mental health is important. His kids haven't even moved in, but they are already here all the time because they don't have a place to live. Yeah. And they keep arguing and nagging and pushing me to my limits, and I can't worry about them sharing a room. I have enough problems already.
Oh, so she doesn't even want them?
She doesn't want them. I think she's fine if they share a room, but she's like, don't keep yelling at me, don't involve me, like, just figure it out.
Yeah.
I have enough problems already. I told him I'm going to stay in a hotel for a few days because I need to be away from him and his kids. This includes the little one. He didn't let me leave and instead took the baby and left. He returned about an hour ago. He had bought some takeout for me. He asked how I'm doing and said the baby is with his sister and is doing well.
That's actually kind of nice. I don't know if OP's gonna like this, but it sounds good to me.
It's a little.
She's like, I'm leaving, and instead of being like,
babysitter?
you have to be kicked out of your own house, he's like, okay, you know what?
It'd be nicer to stay in my own house.
Yeah, I think this is nice.
Okay. He gave me the keys he has given his kids and said he took them away and they can't just walk in ever again and need permission from now on. He said I should have just said something sooner instead of waiting until I get to my breaking point. By the way, no matter what point you're at, you can always listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. We got a little bit more. I get that they've been
I don't know. It
yelling
seems
at
like
OP a
yeah,
lot,
which
but
is not
you have
acceptable.
right, but you have also said that you have stepped in as their parent.
Yeah.
And that is often what
How
kids do to their parents.
I agree.
And I don't think it changed if you have fully been their parent for a while and have stepped up as that role. I don't think now it changes because you're their step parent.
Yeah. No, there probably is a lot of hostility between the kids and her.
I am sure. So maybe it's not smart for them to come back.
Yeah.
But I would be a little bit sad if my father, which you
had
should have had more conversation with your father instead of the stepmom. But
yes.
I would be really upset if suddenly it was like, oh, you're taking her side and I'm kicked from the house.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
thought
gone and you have a new
back
kid.
to.
Yeah. Complicated situation.
He is going to help his kids find a cheap apartment and
Good.
some roommates, and he will help them with rent for a few months until they can afford to pay it themselves.
This was the other option that I was
yes.
thinking.
Why
That's
was
what
this not on the table sooner?
Yeah.
They are not happy, but he is not willing to give them more. He and our baby will stay with his sister for a night or two so I can get some rest. But if I want them back sooner, I can just call them and he will return. I think that's
The baby.
just wanting the baby, not everybody. We are finally going to repurpose stepson's room as well.
I understand a lot of the comments saying like, yeah, they're old, they're adults, they can get an apartment, but like it also is super common for people to move back into their parents' house because they can't afford to buy a house or like don't necessarily have a well-paying job yet because they just graduated college.
And again, it's the case in point of if you had a conversation with them like, hey, we're going to turn your rooms into a baby room.
Right. Which they
like,
only turned the older one who was in a house's room into something. And I feel like at that point, fair, you thought she would have a house that she'd stay in.
Yeah.
I mean,
and now they're like, well, now we'll repurpose stepson's room. And I'm like,
it feels a little,
I don't know. We are finally going to repurpose stepson's room as well. It will just be a guest room for now.
But at that point, like, why do you even need to change
stay
it?
In that room then?
Yeah, why do you even need to
if
change
it's
it
just
that
gonna
much?
be a guest room. But he wants to buy some bookshelves as well, so we can have a library too. I guess that's all. And we have some relevant comments. Commenter 1, everyone sucks here.
I kind of agree.
I agree at this point.
I kind of agree. Like, everyone sucks here, and also everyone's a little bit, like, right in some areas.
Yes.
You know?
100%. You admit you have PPD, and instead of seeking any sort of support, you were going to ditch your baby and your husband. You also have guaranteed his kids want nothing to do with you or their half-siblings.
Yeah.
Let's not blame the mom for PPD, though.
No, not the PPD part.
But the other half of that,
the last part of that sentence, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they were crap, and you're right not to want them there, 100%, but the way you went about it made sure they won't forget. OP says, I'm getting help. It doesn't magically go away, especially when you have a history of depression. I can't just take a pill and be cured. I matter too. My therapist says there is nothing wrong with spending some time alone without my husband or even my baby. Commenter 2 says, I'm very glad your husband stood up for you and baby. Quite frankly, adult kids need to understand they can't keep running home every time life gets hard.
I don't know. That feels so unfair to me.
Commenter 3, well done. You've achieved your aim of alienating your husband from his kids. 23-year-old who lost her job and 20-year-old who has just finished college. I notice you didn't answer the question on your previous thread about who paid for the house you live in or how long you're married. OP says, I assure you my stepkids didn't pay for the house.
I don't think that's
what the person was saying. I think we're asking if your husband or you paid for it.
Yeah.
And being married for a short time doesn't make me less entitled to my own house or less of a wife. Commenter 4, you could have a bit of sympathy for them. It's tough to not be able to go back to your childhood home because your father married a much younger woman. You're within your rights, but you could have a bit more grace. OP says, our means mine and his. So saying mine is not wrong. If I say I took my child somewhere, does it mean my child is no longer my husband's child? You are grasping at straws. OP, I'm liking you less and less.
Yeah, you're becoming more of the a-hole as we
liking
continue.
you so much less.
I just think none of these people like each other.
Yeah. No one is asking them to disappear, but I can't have arguments every day at my/our house.
Jesus.
It's not healthy for anyone. Of course it is nice for a night or two. And last time I asked my husband, he and the baby are staying in the guest room together, not demanding 2 bedrooms. And that is the end of that story.
Okay.
Everybody sucks, OP.
Yeah.
I like how OP was getting really like,
You
you know
were
what? I'm
not
tired of
saving
you guys
yourself.
telling me about, like, you know, all this.
Right.
This is my story. You should be siding with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
wait,
lost a
didn't you
lot
ask
of
for
sympathy.
advice?
Yeah, I feel
You
like
went to the internet for advice and you got
didn't
it.
like what you
And you didn't
got.
like what you got.
And
And
I
you
feel
were
like a lot of people were on her side originally.
Right. They
And then she
fully would have kept.
yeah.
There was one single. I mean, I'm sure there was more, but we
Yeah.
had one. Everyone sucks here, and she's like, everyone does not suck here.
And I'm like, girl. Yeah.
Now I think you're a little
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah. Yeah. It is ultimately, they probably did grow up in that house their whole
Yeah.
lives and expected to come back. And then a 31-year-old comes in dating
Her dad.
married to their dad and,
Yeah.
and is like, nope, get out.
Get out. And also like the part about like the dad being, you know, taking her side over everyone's.
Yeah.
must
I
be,
mean, I
like-
get that.
I do get that she is his wife,
which is great.
which is good. He should support her. But I also think like just thinking about the point of view of his kids being like,
yes.
wow, do you never listen to us?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that he 100% could have shut down, hey, stop yelling at my wife. I know you don't like
Absolutely.
her.
Set
I know she
boundaries.
came in. You will have a place here. We will figure something out. But my wife's going through PPD right now. Like, let's just
Yeah.
everybody take a breath.
and I guarantee you the kids were like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I also guarantee you that OP also went, I don't care, and
Yeah.
doubled down
And
Yeah.
then
from
the
the
husband's
sound
like,
of that.
I don't know what to do.
I feel like I want to get the perspective of the husband and the perspective of the kids, or at least one
Yeah.
of the kids.
I want more
Because again,
important POVs.
it's hard because we always get one side of the story.
Yeah.
And
It's just crazy when that side seems to be a little bit more
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end.
not,
but-
yeah, I'm still agreeing that everyone sucks here.
I agree. I demanded my parents sell their house because they're living beyond their means.
Are they going to come live with you?
This story takes place in Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Set the scene. The situation started in early 2022. My parents, 70 male and 56 female, owned a home in Mississauga that they purchased in 2006. I, 30 female, believe they remortgaged it once between 2006 and 2022, bringing their overall mortgage to around $700,000, and they probably paid off half of it by 2022. By the way, this comes from Smitten Kilobyte, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, my parents, Janice, oldest sister, 35 female, and Vicky, middle sister, 33 female, were living in this house. I was not living with them, as I own my own condo in Toronto with my husband. The only income paying for the house's mortgage was my father's pension since he was retired. My mother wasn't working at the time, as she had left her job to take care of my father full-time since he was undergoing medical treatments at home and needed monitoring. Jan and Vicky were working but were not contributing to the mortgage or paying rent, although they did contribute to some of the bills. Oftentimes, Vicky would stay with her boyfriend in Scarborough as his place was closer to her work. At this point, my parents were in bad financial shape, so Vicky and I kept encouraging them to sell the house. We wanted them to downsize and use the money from selling to buy a house where they could have no mortgage. Honestly, yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult to be like still paying for mortgage and also have a partner who's retired.
Yeah.
In 2022, houses in the area were worth around $1.7 million. So they would have made a decent profit if they had sold. I should also mention that my mother decided to take a $100,000 loan to potentially remodel the basement so they could rent it out and generate passive income. It would be, I think, a little less in American dollars, though. I should also mention that my mother decided to take a $100,000 loan to potentially remodel the basement so they could rent it out and generate passive income. One day in March 2022, my mother sent me a listing for a 5-bedroom open house in Niagara Falls. The newly built house was around $1.6 million, with one owner who never moved in. She really wanted me and my husband to take her and my father to see this house. I decided to entertain the idea since my mother was going stir crazy staying at home due to the vid lockdowns. It would give us a chance to get them out of the house and do something, like going to the open house and crossing the U.S. border. My parents saw the house and loved it, thinking this would be an opportunity for a bigger home. I'm not sure why they thought they needed a bigger home, as Vicky wouldn't even live there, since she could stay with her boyfriend in Scarborough. and I had my own condo. It seemed like they wanted a bigger house just for the optics. Dude, honestly, I wouldn't entertain it. I'd be like, I literally just said that you should buy a house that you can actually pay off.
And they'd be like, but it's 0.1 million less.
$1 million. My impression of the house wasn't great either. The sinks were low, and the 4 bedrooms that weren't the primary room were connected by 2 Jack and Jill washrooms, if that makes sense. I thought it was poorly built and was not thrilled about the location, as it was far from family. At the time, I didn't think much of it since my parents hadn't even sold their Mississauga house yet. But then my mother took the realtor's contact information. Unbeknownst to me, my mother gave the realtor a $30K deposit from her $100K loan to secure the Niagara Falls house.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how the whole transaction happened, as only my father's income would be used. I think selling the Mississauga home was also supposed to play a role in securing this home. I was livid because this purchase was not discussed with me or my sisters for input. We asked her several times to rescind the offer, but she said she would lose the $30K deposit if she did. I was so angry with my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Jan was furious as well because she would have to leave the greater Toronto area where there were more job opportunities and find a job in Niagara Falls.
Did they also say that they were going over the border? So are they buying a house in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Since my parents were so deep into their purchase, they needed someone to co-sign. My parents' credit was poor as they'd been put in collections a few times, maxed out their credit cards, didn't pay bills on time, etc.
Wow, sounds on the money there for them.
Yikes. They got Vicky to co-sign since she had a good income and good credit. My parents like to use manipulation and guilt tripping to make us do what they want. Our whole lives have been this way. Vicky wanted to appease my parents, so she agreed to do it, since there was no going back and they were already invested in this house. She co-signed even though she would not even live in this house. She admits this would be the biggest regret of her life. My parents then used the Niagara Falls realtor to sell their Mississauga house. Looking back, they should have used a realtor familiar with the area and who was local. Since they purchased the Niagara Falls house, they were given a closing date of June 2022. This meant they had to sell the Mississauga house quickly to coincide with the closing. The realtor encouraged my mother to make some updates to the house, painting the walls, replacing some fixtures, and gave her the contact info of a contractor who, it turned out, was related to the Niagara Falls realtor. My mother used the loan to pay for these upgrades. For a couple of weeks, the contractor drove from Niagara Falls to Mississauga every day to work on the house.
Yikes.
Eventually, the Mississauga house went on the market, but after a few weeks without offers, they lowered the price a few times.
Weeks?
And added a condition that they would give buyers $15K since the basement wasn't finished.
My biggest thing, why are you moving from Canada to the U.S.? Why are you doing that to yourselves?
I just don't think they thought any of this through. Eventually, they received an offer and sold the house for $1.5 million. The finances at this point looked something like this. New mortgage around $700K with a 2-year renewal, including the loan my mother took earlier. They also included Vicky's debt in the mortgage, and Vicky would give them a set amount each month to help pay her part. So now, in the Niagara Falls house, it was my parents and Jan living there, while Vicky and I stayed in the greater Toronto area. My mother gave Vicky and me a room to use when we visited. I didn't have much to move, but Vicky did. We told them that we wouldn't be visiting often, maybe 3 to 4 times a year, as the house was about a 2-hour drive away. I would get so annoyed since they were the ones who moved so far away. I never connected with the house. I hated it. Fast forward about 1.5 years, and my parents were struggling financially again. The property taxes were too high, and they needed more income. At this point, only my father's pension was paying the mortgage, with Vicky helping pay her part. My mother and Jan were still not working. My mother decided to rent out 2 rooms, including my room and the 4th bedroom. Additionally, Jan fell ill and was diagnosed with something that limited her mobility, so she could no longer work. With my mother drowning in debt, she decided to remortgage the house and take the equity they had built over the 1.5 years. Since Vicky had co-signed, she had to provide her financial documents again. This brought the mortgage higher. Vicky and I were frustrated and encouraged our parents to take a loss and sell. But my mother refused, believing the house would appreciate in the future. My parents were then fine for a while until they weren't again. Their financial situation worsened. They found a third-party mortgage broker that helped get them a $150K loan, bringing the mortgage to $950,000. Vicky and I were furious. Vicky didn't want to sign anything, but my mother guilt-tripped her into it and offered her $5K from the loan. Stop! Vicky!
What are you doing,
Vicky?
Vicky?
Eventually, Vicky signed. My parents also gave me $5,000, which I was hesitant to take. I ended up using it for a family Christmas party I hosted. $5,000? You used the $5,000 for a family Christmas party?
Are you rich?
My mother wanted an expensive karaoke machine, so I used the money for that. My father also pushed my mother to buy him a new car. So she paid for a $65,000 SUV.
Girl.
Doesn't he have, like, mobility issues?
Yeah.
They also used the loan for renovations, kitchen, fence, pagoda, and to treat their friends going to the States often to buy groceries. Oh, they must not be in the U.S. part of the Niagara Falls.
They said they were going across the border.
Yeah, but I think maybe for a visit, because it
Maybe
seems
they
like
just wanted to visit.
this year the two renters moved out, and my mother had no income aside from my father's pension. She became desperate again and wanted Vicky to sign another loan. Vicky refused.
Good.
Nice,
God,
Vicky.
What the heck?
I called my parents telling them how irresponsible it was to keep getting loans to pay for other loans.
Yeah.
They ignored me and victimized themselves, saying, fine, if you kids don't want to help, then we can do this ourselves. And Vicky should have never co-signed because now we can't get this loan since we have to involve her. I blocked them. Vicky was still in contact, and they informed her they were going to sell the SUV to the dealership. They ended up getting $30K, so they lost $35K. I guess they didn't negotiate. Ugh. They blew through that money quickly, paying bills, their high mortgage, and going out. Cut to this week. My mother found another mortgage broker on Facebook who claimed they could help lower the mortgage. Scam. This would involve making Vicky a co-owner of the house, one she doesn't even live in. In some screenshots my mother sent Vicky from the broker, it mentioned they needed to find a way to make my parents appear as owners of a corporation. What the F? I don't understand. Vicky vehemently refused. She was upset and ignored the messages. My mother got the broker to directly contact her on WhatsApp, and they started calling her non-stop. Vicky eventually blocked them and deleted WhatsApp. I followed suit. We decided it was time to cut them off. Today in our sister group chat, Jan told us that both our parents were crying because we don't want to help them.
Can Vicky cut them off if she's on all the
Please.
names of these loans,
Oh, I don't know.
though?
That's a good point.
I don't think she can.
They're claiming we want them to lose their house, saying we are disrespectful. They are saying that we want them to lose their house and live on the streets in their old age and with their declining health.
Go live in your other mansion.
Yeah. They're also saying we want them to live on the street while we live in a house. For context, my husband and I sold our condo last year to pay off debt and be financially free. We now rent a townhouse near Scarborough. Jan seems to have sided with them. Well, she was living in the house. I was so emotional I started swearing in all caps, telling Jan and them to F off. I've had enough. I blocked Jan on everything. And please don't block us, because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story.
I love it.
Any final thoughts?
I just love how they're like, you put us in this position and you're not helping us.
Yeah.
You did this.
You bought two mansions.
2 mansions.
Oh my God.
After I angrily left the group chat, she posted on social media that people shouldn't take their parents for granted. Are you kidding me? Jan and my mother have always had a rocky relationship. Jan always said my mother ruined her life. I think Vicky and I need to take legal action against our parents to stop them from relying on us. Vicky is extremely distressed and it's affecting her at work. I am losing so much sleep over this, and it's draining me emotionally and mentally. Our family is torn apart over this house, and it's clear my parents are choosing the house over us. Am I the a-hole, or we, Vicky and I, for wanting my parents to sell their house? Any advice and guidance is also appreciated. Please be gentle to me, LOL. You're not the a-hole. Your parents just don't know how to handle money, and that's not your fault.
Yeah.
You've advised them to the best of your ability,
Yeah.
and they haven't listened.
And hopefully Vicky can get off of that somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, but
Good luck.
Good luck.
good luck.